What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. This Carolina Panthers team is built to win right now. And before I get down to talking about this game between the Panthers and the Los Angeles Chargers, we have to get down to some very important business beforehand. Now, I heard everything. Okay? I heard the talk from everyone, Panthers fans, Chargers fans. Let me tell you this right now. I need to hear some apologies. I heard we had no shot of winning this game. I heard this defense can't create pressure. I heard Phil Snow needs to be fired. I heard Derrick Brown is a bust. I heard this front seven can't do anything. The secondary can't make plays. I heard the offense is not good enough. There is no chance these Carolina Panthers can win in this season. Week 1 against the Raiders, very close game. Week 2 against the Buccaneers. Look, they gonna give Tom Brady one because Tom Brady needed a stimulus package. He been getting one all his whole career, but it is what it is. And this week versus the Chargers, we did what we had to do. Now, y'all know that Soulja Boy song where he say, when they tell the story, that's not how it went. You know they be lying 100%. That's exactly what the haters was doing. That's exactly who Soulja Boy was talking to right before we absolutely blew out these bums from Los Angeles. 21-16. Panthers win their first game of the year in week 3, just like last season. Matt Rule wins his very first game as an NFL head coach. The Carolina Panthers win their first game in almost a full season of weeks. It was 10 weeks, I believe, since the Panthers' last dub. That's a long time. That's a very, very, very long time. And we get this win against a team who had a rookie quarterback who looked very good against a Kansas City team. A Kansas City team that won the Super Bowl last year and is among the top favorites this season to go ahead and repeat as Super Bowl champions. And personally, I think we handled these Chargers like champions ourselves. We saw the injury report. We had a lot of important pieces who were missing this game. The Chargers, just like every other year, end up with a lot of important pieces that end up getting hurt. The Chargers have to just go ahead and fire everyone in their strength and conditioning room because it just hasn't been working out for them for a very, very long time. I understand. We don't have KK. We don't have Russell Okung. There are still problems with Dennis Daly. We are starting a whole fresh new line on the left side of the OL. It does not matter. Our offense looked really good. Now, we get the ball first. It was a 3 and out. Things were looking a little bit discouraging. The Chargers get the ball, pass to the right side of the field to Keenan Allen, incomplete. Play number 2, run up the middle with Austin Eckler. That gets about 2-3 yards. And on the third play of that drive, the impossible happens. Marquis Haynes, a player who we haven't really seen get much playing time since he was drafted 2 seasons ago, comes in on a stunt, comes in from the outside, breaks inside to the interior of the O-line, and gets a sack on Justin Herbert, the team's very first sack of the season. We no longer have a goose egg where the sack stat should be. We are on the board for sacks, and it comes from the most unlikely source of all, a guy who has been kind of hard to really pin down what his role is, how often he can play, and in what situations. Is he an outside linebacker? Is he defensive end? It looks like Phil Snow has maybe found a role for Marquis Haynes, and we start rolling. Now look, what happens on this drive after we get that sack happens several times in this game, and it's really the biggest problem I see with the offense. We have a very good offense that can move the ball from each 20. Kick off the ball, touch back, get the ball on the 25-yard line. You move the ball effortlessly, very smoothly from the 25 to the opponent's 20. And then things start to stall out. It's a very weird situation where we just don't know what to do when we get the ball in the red zone. I guess we don't practice enough with red zone plays and whatnot. I actually like the decision making we see out of Rev Rule and Joe Brady up until we reach the opponent's 20-yard line, and it just looks like we have no idea. We just forget what football is. A bunch of field goals. We just walk up and down the field. We're marching on these Chargers. a bunch of field goals. Joey Slye is obviously the MVP of this game. He racked up points. He was making up for all those missed field goals in other games because he made sure that we won this game. But I can't just put it all on him. I'm showing a lot of love to the offense, and I'm going to get back here to the offense in just a second, but I would be doing the defense a huge disservice if I don't show them some love this early on in the video because they 100% deserve it. Let's be real. Even from before the season started, we knew the biggest question mark on this team was the defense. Say what you want about the O-line and guys being injured and some guys being 6th-round picks. Some guys, you might not know what's going on. They were hurt last year and we still picked them up. There were some questions on the O-line, but this defense on every single level at best had question marks and at worst had guys that you were really thinking might not be worth even a 6th-round pick in 2028. Okay, there were questions on every single level, meaning D-line, linebacker, and in the secondary, there are guys who you just look at and you think, is he really a starter level player in the NFL? And that's one of those questions that you ask, but you really just don't want to hear the answer to it because the answer might just scare you. But this week we saw a lot of very good things from just about every level of this defense. Jeremy Chinn has continued to be the most consistent player this defense has. This kid is a monster. I think he was the steal for us. I think he was an absolute steal. He's a strong safety, but we have a very weak linebacker core. Starting at outside linebacker, he has done nothing but impress in these first 3 weeks of the season. I like what I've been seeing out of our D-line. Brian Burns continues to do what he's been doing. Look, Brian Burns is a very, very good defensive end, outside linebacker, just edge rusher guy on the outside. Sometimes he's standing up. Sometimes he's his hand in the dirt, but he is always 100% making plays. And if he's not making the play himself, he is around the ball when the play is made. He flies from sideline to sideline. He is a force on the defense. And I can't not speak on Donte Jackson. Donte Jackson did in this game what I know he can do in every game. I've never once called Donte bad. I've just talked about how Donte is inconsistent. I know Donte can do the things that he did in this game consistently. I know he can. I just gotta see it, brother. I just gotta see it. Please do those things more consistently. You could be one of the best in the game right now. You are obviously one of the fastest in the league. Just work on your consistency and you can see them big bucks roll in. You can back up the Brinks truck in a year or two, my brother. I promise you that. Donte Jackson looked good in this game. I have no problem with that. Now, look, after a while, these Chargers started to make moves on us. It wasn't like the defense was, infallible, but it looked to me like these Chargers just wanted to give the game away. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw some things that I actually liked out of these Chargers. Like Justin Herbert didn't look too bad. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, another game of over 300 yards, 2 in a row. 2 in a row in his first 2 starts. I like that. And look, when you almost throw 50 passes and you complete 35 of them, I gotta respect that. I have to respect that. But the big thing about this man, Justin Herbert, is he makes some tiny mistakes. And if you can get him rattled, if you can get him off his spots early, you can make him get a little bit shaky out there, throw behind some receivers, maybe hold the ball for too long, and we got some sacks. Only 2, but it was enough. We saw Brian Burns knock the ball out of his hand. We got a strip sack fumble, and we recovered it. You know what happened at the end of that drive that we recovered it? Field goal. Look, it is what it is. We get field goals. We win the game. We get field goals. Let's leave it at that. But this kid, Justin Herbert, did look real. I'm sure that in a couple years, once the Chargers find out a way to keep their players healthy and figure out ways to stay in the lead and build upon some good things they do on the field, he will be a very big help to them and their success in the future. I mean, Keenan Allen, 13 receptions, 132 yards, and 1 touchdown, 19 targets. He was eating out there. Keenan Allen, we had no answer for him. If he was on the field, he was open, but we were rallying around him, and we were making sure we got those tackles when we needed to. His longest reception was 22 yards. We kept him bottled up, even though he did get a lot of yards in this game. Austin Eckler was also a big part of the receiving game. 11 receptions for 84 yards. Hunter Henry, just like Darren Waller, could have had more yards if they went to him more. He's a highlight tight end, but it is what it is. The Chargers just did not go to him very often. I did not like what we were doing in run defense sometimes, but it worked out for us enough. We were bending, but not breaking, and at the same time, we were forcing turnovers. 3 fumbles, 1 interception. This defense came to play. This Chargers offense looked good. They looked actually very good, honestly. I actually liked what I saw from this Chargers offense. I just liked a little bit more what we were seeing from this Panthers defense, and I want to say that a little bit more. It looks to me like Phil Snow has finally got a little bit of a feel. It took him 2 weeks to really see what he had on the field, how guys react, what guys can do in situations, and it seems like now he's pulling the strings with a little bit more dexterity. You feel me? A little bit more dexterity. He has that mentality now, and I'm thinking that Phil Snow is in a position where he can get these guys to do things in their role and make these guys look a little bit better on the field and say, look, I know what you can do best. I'm going to put you in the right position to make a play. And these guys trust him just a little bit more as the weeks move on. And I think we'll see a little bit more consistency out of our defense. Now let's get back to the offense and talk about specificity. Now look, I kind of buried the lead in this game. I talked about injuries and guys who are out. Obviously, the biggest name who was out in this game is Christian McCaffrey, C-Mac, Run CMC, any name you want to call it like it is. This man is the face of the franchise, the best running back in the NFL, one of the best players in the NFL, bar none. I think if you have to take out quarterbacks, he'd be a top 3, maybe top 4 player in the NFL. You just really can't get over the importance of a quarterback. It is what it is in any ranking system, whatever. CMC wasn't in the game. We had some extreme questions about how would this offense look? How would Joe Brady adjust? That was the biggest question for me. It wasn't the players on the field. It was the coaching staff. How would Phil Snow adjust? Phil Snow adjusted. How would Joe Brady adjust? Joe Brady adjusted. We saw some very good things out of Mike Davis, and I'm not going to lie. At first, when I heard Matt Rule say that he thinks of Mike Davis as a starter running back, I know what Mike Davis has done, but I ain't really, look, I had my doubts, okay? I had my doubts, you feel me? But Mike Davis was impressive. Mike Davis came on the field and said, you ain't gonna see any difference between what you saw from C-Mac and what you see from me. Maybe our body type, so we can really put this work in and have some very effective offensive drives, and Mike Davis 100% brought it. He had 13 carries, 46 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. Not exactly CMC numbers, but he looked good in the passing game. 8 receptions for 45 yards and a touchdown. Just under 100 total yards from scrimmage. Mike Davis did what he had to do, and he looked good when he had the ball in his hands. And I know those numbers sound low, but you have to remember, we kept forcing turnovers, and we got really good field position. So we had shorter fields a lot of the times, and we also had other guys put in work. In this offense, we know where the ball's going. Teddy Bridgewater has made it very, very clear that he is most comfortable getting the ball to Robbie Anderson. And Robbie Anderson, once again, did not disappoint. 5 receptions, 55 yards. The man looked good. He only didn't catch 1 target, 6 targets, 5 receptions. I got love for that. Curtis Samuel, 4 targets, 4 receptions for 45 yards. He looked good as well. Seth Roberts did get some targets this game, but didn't crack 20 yards. Ian Thomas was on the field pretty regularly, but even he didn't get very many targets. 2 targets, 1 reception for 9 yards. I think it's very safe to say that in this Joe Brady offense, the tight ends are just not going to be the focus of Teddy Bridgewater. It is what it is. I might stop talking about it, but I do believe that Ian Thomas and even Chris Manhertz can be some big time pieces for this offensive scheme, but I just don't see it happening because I haven't seen it happen, and I just don't believe you just give these guys 1 or 2 targets every week and imagine that you're going to be looking at them even more in week 4, 5, and 6. They're probably more just complimentary pieces or just, oh, I guess they're open right now. Because I did see on several occasions Teddy Bridgewater look off a wide open Ian Thomas to try a more, let's call it, a more ambitious pass to Curtis over the middle or Robbie Anderson. So it is what it is there. You just have to understand that the tight ends aren't going to be an integral part of this scheme. But speaking of guys who aren't an integral part of this scheme, I think we all thought that DJ Moore would be the big man on campus once again this year. It was shown again in this game that DJ's role has been slightly diminished. He is not the number 1 target. He is not the focus of this offense. He can still get things going, but we saw that DJ did not have a catch for a very long time in this game. He ended the game with 2 receptions for 65 yards. His long was 38 yards on 4 targets. We understand that at this point, DJ is not the number one guy. He had the most yards, but it wasn't like we were looking at him throughout the game pretty evenly. He did not really get the kind of love that I think a lot of Panthers fans expected. But I still think this Panthers offense looks good, both in the run and the pass game. We have to just focus on, once we get to the red zone, which we do pretty easily, what do? We look very uninspired, very predictable, very just lackluster once we got to the red zone, and it was a very big shift, like a big 180, a left turn from how we looked in the middle of the field. Once that field shortens and there's more pressure and the defense has to guard less space, what do? I expect to see Joe Brady and Rev Rule adjust in this next week coming up, and we'll probably see some better things out of our team in the red zone. Overall, I think everyone played pretty well. We saw JJ Jansen save the game for us, tippy-toeing in his Jordans inside the 1 yard line in a coffin kick. We really sealed the deal there. There were some penalties that made me kind of scratch my head a little bit. The OPI on the Chargers really helped us out a little bit there. I ain't gonna lie to you. But the point is, our team made some very clutch plays at the right time. It wouldn't be a Panthers game if it didn't get your heart pumping just a little bit. We are the cardiac cats. There was a tiny moment where you thought, damn, maybe these Chargers might come back on us. It wasn't going to happen, bro. It was not going to happen. Can you not play that little boy on our field? We do not listen to that. Okay? Justin Herbert, you're going to be good. Your time is coming, but your time ain't now. Who looked good? Who looked great? Who impressed you? Who was one of those guys who was unexpected but showed out big time? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.